The sound of clinking wine glasses at our Christmas dinner table will haunt me, but not for the reason you think. My husband, David, leaned toward his mistress, who was sitting right there, posing as his new business associate, and whispered, "Don't worry about the rent anymore. The penthouse at the Heights is officially yours on January 1st." My voice tightens as I process the audacity of it all. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just sat there, my pulse drumming a steady, cold rhythm against my skin. I didn't stop to make a scene because I was already calculating the exit velocity of my entire life. By New Year's Day, that $450,000 condo would be sold and I would be gone, leaving them with nothing but the silence of an empty apartment. I stood up, adjusting my napkin with surgical precision, and offered a polite, hollow smile. "I'm going to step out for some air," I said. David didn't even glance up, too occupied with refilling her glass. I walked out of the dining room, leaving the warmth of the holiday behind, and stepped into the biting cold of the winter night. The decision was made. The moral trap, whether I was a vengeful wife or a woman finally reclaiming her own stolen life, didn't matter anymore. All that mattered was the paperwork waiting in my safe. I walked to the study, my heels clicking on the hardwood floors like a rhythmic countdown. Inside, I moved to the hidden safe behind the heavy bookcase. My hands were steady, despite the adrenaline. I punched in the code, a code he thought only he knew, and pulled out the file. The property deed, the power of attorney, and the bank access codes. He had been so arrogant, assuming I was the type of woman who never checked the accounts, who never read the fine print. I flipped through the pages, my breath catching as I confirmed every detail was in order. This was the blueprint for his undoing. I pulled out my phone and dialed the number for the buyer I had already vetted, a man who had been chasing this property for months, waiting for a deal that would close quickly. I said, "It's yours," my voice low and controlled. "If you can have the cash ready to wire by the 30th, the place is yours." The voice on the other end was eager, already counting the profit. I hung up and felt the first true spark of relief I had felt in 3 years. This wasn't just a sale, it was a severance of every tether he had on my identity. I didn't pack anything yet. I just sat there in the dark, watching the snow fall outside the window. I thought about the 3 years I had spent building that condo up, the interior design, the hours of labor, the money I had inherited and poured into our future. He had tried to give it away like it was a trinket. Not this time. I realized then that I wasn't losing a home, I was offloading a liability. The condo wasn't a gift for the mistress, it was a Trojan horse for my exit. I walked back into the hallway, pausing only to look at the wedding photos on the wall. I didn't feel sadness, only a cold, clinical detachment. I was finished. If you believe that walking away without saying a word is the most powerful response to betrayal, leave a comment below. I want to know if you think this level of detachment is a survival skill or just cold-hearted. Hit that subscribe button to join this journey of reclamation. The next 2 days were a blur of calculated movements. I moved through the house like a ghost, collecting my personal belongings without drawing attention. I didn't touch anything of David's. I didn't want his money, his trinkets, or his memories. I only wanted what was legally mine. I drove to the city, the skyline looming in the distance like a challenge. I had an appointment at the title office to finalize the sale. My breath catches when I see the notary waiting for me. I sit down, the chair scraping against the floor, and I begin to sign. Every signature is a nail in the coffin of our life together. I don't look back at the clock on the wall, marking off the hours until the deal is sealed. David calls my phone 22 times in 2 hours, but I don't answer. I just switch the phone to silent and set it on the table. "Everything is in order," the notary says, his voice professional and dry. He doesn't know he's helping me dismantle a lie. I look him in the eye, my face composed. "Thank you." I take the copy of the deed, the weight of it feeling like a brick in my bag. I walk out into the freezing air, the city noise muffled by the falling snow. I feel a profound stillness. The world hasn't ended, it's just rearranged itself. I stop at a coffee shop and order a tea. I watch the people walking by, bundled in their coats, rushing to their holiday parties. They have no idea that the foundation of their world could shift in an instant. I think about David, probably wondering where I've gone, wondering why the house is quiet. He has no idea, I say to myself, a small, sad laugh escaping my lips. I need to be absolutely certain no digital breadcrumbs remain. I spend hours in a public library, logged into a secure VPN, purging every shared cloud account, every synced browser history, and every connected banking app. I find photos of us, vacations, dinners, anniversaries, and I delete them one by one. It's strange, the digital burial of a life that felt so permanent. I feel my heart rate steadying as the history of us vanishes into the void. This isn't just about deleting files, it's about erasing the person he thought he owned. I am purging the victim he created so I can rebuild the version of myself that he never deserved to know. But the anger is rising, a sharp metallic taste in the back of my throat. I think about the times he looked me in the eye and lied, the late nights at the office, the secret accounts, the way he laughed when I asked about our future. He didn't just cheat, he actively tried to reduce me to a footnote. I take out a second burner phone and reach out to the one contact who knows the dark side of his business dealings, a rival who has been waiting for an opening to ruin him. I send over a dossier of his shell company details. I'm not just leaving, I'm handing his competition the keys to his professional collapse. It's a vicious, calculated strike that will ensure he has no ground to stand on when he finally wakes up to his new, ruined reality. I go to the storage unit I rented, the one David doesn't know about. I stash the documents, the cash, and my backup hard drive. Everything is safe. I look at my reflection in the mirror hanging on the back of the door. I look composed. I look like a woman who is ready to be free. I don't see the victim he thought I was. I see the survivor. I spend the final hour of the night organizing my new bank accounts. I move the funds, layer the security, and ensure that when the dust settles, there will be nothing left for him to trace. It is methodical. It is perfect. Every move I make is designed to strip his ego bare, leaving him nothing but his own hollow lies. I drive back home, the tires crunching on the icy gravel. I enter through the back door, moving silently. I grab my suitcase, the one I'd hidden in the closet weeks ago, and I walk out. I don't leave a note. Notes are for people who want to be understood. I don't care if he understands. I only care that he realizes, too late, that I was the one holding the power all along. I leave the house behind, the lights still burning in the kitchen, a false promise of a home that no longer exists for us. He will come home to an empty shell, a metaphor for the pathetic, empty man he's always been. If you think I should have left a note to explain why I was leaving, or if you agree that silence is the most painful message, hit that like button. I want to know how you would have handled the exit. Subscribe if you want to see what happens when he finds the empty house. New Year's Eve arrives with a gray, biting chill. I'm already 3 states away, sitting in a quiet, anonymous motel room, watching the local news on my laptop. I haven't checked my phone, but I've logged into my email. The reports are starting to come in. The buyer of the condo has filed the paperwork. The transfer is public record. I imagine the scene at the penthouse. David arriving with his mistress, expecting to pop champagne and celebrate their new, stolen life. I imagine the confusion when the key doesn't turn. I imagine the absolute devastating shock when they realize the door belongs to someone else, someone who has already changed the locks. I know he's trying to call me. My burner phone, which I keep tucked in my bag, is vibrating off the hook. 69 missed calls. The number itself feels like a cruel joke. I pick up the phone, my breath catching as I stare at the screen. I don't answer. I just read the texts that are flooding in. Where are you? What did you do? Answer the phone. I'm gone, David. He is spiraling, and I watch the digital trail. He's calling my parents, he's emailing my friends, he's posting frantic, erratic status updates that make him look desperate and unstable. He's doing exactly what I predicted. He's destroying his own reputation before I even have to lift a finger. I feel a strange, detached satisfaction. He spent months planning his future with her, never once considering that his present was entirely dependent on me. I take a moment to look at the bank statements I had pre-programmed to sync with his personal email. It's a final parting gift. He'll see the exact moment the money moved, the exact moment he lost the condo, and the exact moment his credit score hit the floor. It's not just a loss, it's a systematic liquidation of his credibility. I watch the alerts come in, confirming he's frantically logging into apps that no longer hold his assets. He is frantic. He is powerless. He is finally feeling a fraction of the fear I felt when I realized he was replacing me. I also decide to leave a digital footprint that haunts his professional life. I upload a series of redacted but damaging internal emails from his firm to a public forum, proving he was using company time to plan his personal betrayals and financial schemes. Within hours, his firm's HR department starts tagging him in public inquiries on professional platforms. The professional world he built is literally dissolving under the weight of his own arrogance. He thought he was untouchable. He never realized he was merely an employee whose contracts were tied to my legal signatures, which I have now revoked. My phone vibrates again, but it's not him this time. It's an automated alert from the bank. The account associated with his secondary credit card, the one he thought was hidden, has been flagged for non-payment. He is trapped in a web of his own making, and the deeper he digs, the more he reveals his own corruption to the world. I watch it all unfold from my dark room, the glow of the screen illuminating the truth. He wasn't a shark. He was just a man with a stolen suit. I've also ensured the mistress gets a little surprise, a collection of business emails that David forgot to delete, emails between him and various vendors, proving exactly how he was funding their lifestyle. I send these to the mistress from an anonymous source. It's time she knows exactly what kind of partner she's built her future on. Watching the chaos unfold from afar is the best show in town. I sip my water, the taste of it cleaner than any wine we ever shared. I go to the window and look out at the small, quiet town where I've chosen to hide. It's nothing like the city. It's quiet, humble, and completely devoid of the pretense he loved so much. I have a new job, a new lease, and a new life. No one here knows my history. No one knows I was a wife, a victim, or an architect of a takedown. I am just a woman. I realized that the revenge wasn't just about the money, it was about the time. He stole my time, my energy, and my belief in myself. By taking the condo, I didn't just take his asset, I bought my own time back. I sit down and start reading a book, the pages turning with a soft, comforting sound. I don't care what he does now. The game is over, and I'm the only one left standing. My mind finally quiets, drifting into a sleep that hasn't been interrupted by doubt or anxiety in years. I am resting in the certainty that the truth finally won. If you think the look on their faces when they realized the condo was sold was worth the effort, hit the like button. Let me know if you believe that true revenge is a dish best served with total silence. Subscribe for the final chapter of this escape. It is early morning, a week into the new year. I am walking through a park in my new city, the air crisp and clean against my face. I have deleted all the old accounts, I have cut all the ties. I am entirely, irrevocably free. I find a bench and sit down, watching the sunrise paint the sky in shades of pink and orange. My phone, the one I used to keep in my bag, is buried in the trash back at the motel. I don't need it anymore. There is no one who can reach me. There is no one who can define me. I am finally the author of my own life. I feel a small, genuine smile touch my lips, the first one in years that doesn't feel like a performance. I think about David one last time. I wonder if he's still looking, if he's still calling, if he's still blaming the world for his own greed. It doesn't matter. He is a ghost from a life I no longer inhabit. I don't harbor hatred. I don't harbor regret. I simply move on. I visit a local thrift store to find a few pieces to make this apartment feel like my home, not a hotel. It's small, but the act of choosing a painting, a rug, a small lamp, it's therapeutic. I am curating a life that belongs only to me. Every object I bring into this space is a conscious choice, not a compromise or a decoration to please a spouse who never cared for my taste. This independence feels heavy in the best possible way. I start volunteering at a community center down the street. It's a place where no one asks about my background or my husband. I am just the new volunteer, a person who shows up on time and works hard. For the first time, my value is determined by my actions rather than my role as an accessory to someone else's success. I find joy in the mundane. A cup of coffee, a walk in the park, the sound of rain on my roof. These are the things I was told were boring by David, but now they feel like the absolute height of luxury. I reach into my pocket and pull out a small, smooth stone I picked up on my walk. I hold it in my palm, feeling its weight. It's real. My life is real. Everything that happened before, the dinner, the cheating, the condo, the sale, it's all just a story now. A story I can put down whenever I want. I take my new keys out and look at them. They aren't just keys, they are the symbol of my agency. I didn't leave because I was defeated. I left because I was ready to start over. I have a budget, a plan, and a list of goals that have nothing to do with him or his desires. The freedom is addictive. I look at my list of goals: learn a new language, take a photography class, travel to the coast. These are things I once kept buried in the back of my mind, waiting for a better time that never came. The better time is here, and it's entirely mine. I am no longer waiting for permission to live. I have stripped away the noise and the lies, leaving only the raw, honest truth of who I am when I'm not being diminished. I feel a surge of gratitude for the very thing that broke me, because it also forced me to build myself into something stronger, something that cannot be easily dismantled again. I walk through the door of the shop, the smell of fresh coffee greeting me. I order my drink, I pay, and I smile at the barista. It's a simple interaction, but it's mine. I have won, not by destroying him, but by saving myself. And as I step back out into the sun, I know that for the first time in my life, I am exactly where I need to be. The horizon is finally open, and the path ahead is mine to choose. My past is no longer a burden, it is simply a lesson I have already learned. I inhale the cold air, feeling the clarity of a new beginning. I walk toward the park, my step light and my heart steady, knowing that whatever happens next, I have the strength to handle it.